Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Happy Sunday. We've got a fun episode here today for you guys. I wonder how many times I could put the word today into today's sermon or podcast or lecture, however you want to call it. But today we are going to be having a lot of fun. So today I'm sorry, Sully. I'm just messing with you. I had to see your face when you go, oh God, Yamas with his stupid jokes. Anyway, how y'all doing? Let me roll into today's first ins. We got Shane Lalonde in 33rd. We've got Trail Dust, aka Turtle Dust, in 34th. Jeff Killian, Shane Lalonde. I already said Shane Lalonde. You don't get it twice. James Jones, Jeff Killian. Eric, somebody read the chat for me. Horrible today. We got Thomas Goodemoot. We've got Dylan Corwin, Aaron Dennis, Aaron. I'm getting eye rolls over here. My producer's giving me the finger.
Your Aaron's only got one A, right?
Yeah, whatever. No, because the what's it called? The avatar thing is an A, so it's Aaron. Give me that eye roll. I live for the eye rolls. Anyway, as people kind of filter in. Also,
my initial eye roll was because you said today we have a fun episode. I was like, please.
Yeah. The only person who considers this episode fun is John Brunell. What's up, Paul Orchard? And of course, hello to all you lurkers. I've got about like 5 or 6 people chatting, but there's 10 people watching. So, hello, all you silent majority. God, I love the silent majority. They're so quiet and peaceful. Anyway, so we're gonna bust into how was your week? I need like an intro with a echo for that. We do it every day or every week. So how was your week?
How was your week?
There we go.
Dang it! Now I completely forgot what I was going to say right after that. But
I'm sure it was how your week was.
I had a quip, and then I was like, "Wait, I've got echo." Shoot.
Go ahead.
No, and reading the chat doesn't help. It was something you said that I was gonna riff off of there, but
how many times I could say today?
Yeah. Anyways, my week was pretty damn busy. I mean, like I had 100 hours in 6 days, and I mean like 100 on the money. And I didn't work yesterday. Yesterday was the and I'm off today too. But contract actually, there's nothing to do until Wednesday. So yeah, I got a couple days. I might go home. We'll see. But yeah, my week was fairly. I don't know. It wasn't a lot of work. It was a lot of waiting. I mean, it's like every rig move I went to was sit around and wait, sit around and wait, sit around and wait. Hell, the last day, not the last day. The last day went pretty decent, but the one before that, it's like, I get a batch to be there at like 7 a.m., and the truck push is like, just be here at 8 a.m. will be good. And it's like, all right, cool. And, okay, I'll back it up. Now I got lost.
You're scheduled for 8 a.m.
Yeah, I get there at like 8:10, 8:15, something like that. And yeah, they didn't need us till 8 p.m.
Oh.
I sat there and it was a 1-hour job. I had 2 pieces to set the BOP in, set it down. We'll go over there, get the catwalk, set it in front up, gone. That's it. 15 minutes worth of work is what I had. So 1-hour job, give or take. I brought food for a 1-hour job and then got started 12 hours later. It's like
efficiency in action.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then the roughnecks are like, man, you guys need to hurry up. And it's like, and he's like, you guys haven't done anything all day. And it's like, yeah, we've been waiting on you for 12 hours.
I'd like to take this moment to piss off Alexis and be like, sitting around for 12 hours getting paid, and we wonder why our the cost of oil and gas and everything is so high. It's like highly inefficient. Me and Alexis has had discussions on how to improve efficiency in that workplace, and I got booed down pretty harshly, because if I ever took over, it'd be like, all right, you get paid for when you pull up to do work, but I ain't sending you there until it's time we need you. And it was like, well, then nobody would do anything.
Yeah. Good luck getting people to do this job if they don't get that gravy that comes with the ass kicking that you get every now and then.
Right.
Because I mean, sure. Sometimes I go out there and I sit around for 12 hours waiting to do my job. But there are other times where I go out there and it's balls to the wall for 12, 14 hours straight. And then I leave that one and I got to go to another one and do another straight 12 to 14 hours where it's just nonstop, slinging iron. And then after that, I go do another one that's 12 hours of, and I mean, it's like I've done I've worked 6 continuous days in a row.
I know. I just like messing with you, because
So, I mean, like, and that particular 6-day stretch, none of it was sitting around. I mean, don't get me wrong, I got an hour nap here and there, or a 2-hour nap here and there, but there was none of those jobs were, okay, we're just waiting to do this or waiting to, no, they were all, rig this one down. Okay, go over there and rig it up. Okay, go over this one here, rig that one up. Okay, go over here and rig that one down. And it's just like, but at the end of it, they're like, okay, go over the new end and help rig up. And I was like, I drove right by the new end and went to the house. I'm like, F them. They got 2 tandems over there. They don't need me. I need sleep. But yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I just like messing with you.
Because we have those days. The gravy days are, hey, it brings balance. It brings balance to the job, I think.
Yeah. And if it's one thing we learned from Anakin Skywalker, we do need balance in the Force. Morning, Duncan. Morning, Jack.
That was my week. 100-hour work week, and had yesterday off. I went did a little work in the forge. Nothing significant. Just did a little demo making a leaf for Amy, and then me and her went to lunch and had a good time. That was it. That was that was my week.
Well, as usual, things are heating up over here. My week, the same thing, work, and let me see. Job wise, nothing spectacular. I did end up, okay, so we had an electrical service that we had to install on a little peninsula, and the RV that we were putting the electrical service in for the plot was one of 5 where it had an unusually high, let's call it BFE, floodplain, where NAV D88, which is where we get our mean water level, was 5 inches below ground level. And with all the requirements for that, we ended up having to put the meter socket and panel 8 foot in the air. So we basically built a giant billboard for this, and the customer looked at it and goes, why? Kind of nuts. Even the inspector's like, I'm going to need a ladder for that. But, I got the flooring done over at my brother's house, Windfall, and Monday we're going in there to finish up some basic electrical, build the sink cabinet, and do some cleanup, because Friday they hit him and his wife and their animals, and the moving crew. The moving crew consists of her mom and her mom's boyfriend, and cousins and friends are all doing a caravan, leaving Friday or Thursday and driving all day Friday. So Friday evening I will be waiting for a call saying we're an hour out, echo, insert echo, and then I'll roll over there, let them in, give them the key, blah blah blah. And Saturday and Sunday will be spent working on getting them moved in and settled in and getting all the appliances, hooked up and set up right, and hanging out with friends and family that just spent 2 days driving, moving, all they own to my neck of the woods. So again, I will reiterate, we, the show for this Sunday, or the shows for this upcoming Sunday, next Sunday, will either be pre-recorded or it will be hosted by Alexis and Adam Sans Yamez. Or if I do get in, it would be, on the phone, standing on, the front porch at Windfall. And yeah, so it's just it's an exciting week. A whole bunch of stuff that we've been working on for months, and stuff is all coming together, and it's stressful. I ain't gonna lie. So hopefully soon I'll be getting back to a normal-ish lifestyle. But with that, speaking of normal lifestyles, you know what really wasn't a normal, lifestyle by modern standards, Alexis?
Um, being a blacksmith.
Yeah, the lifestyles of the blacksmiths and iron workers in colonial American time, or American colonial times, back in the 1600s. That really
Famous.
lifestyle of the dirty and coal sooted. So that brings us a beautiful segue. Brings us to the topic of the week, which is not, more specific, wrought iron production in colonial times, and how that worked and how it affected the growth of the nation we currently live in. So, just flipping through the chat right quick. Can't stay. Oh, what's up, Mr. Burnell? What's up, Ben Toombs? What's up, Mr. Pekka? Robert Whitney, how you doing? So yeah, we've got a few topics to go over, a few aspects to this topic to go over. Let me pull up my cheat sheets here. A few things to note to kind of give a prelude to what we're going to talk about today. We've got we're going to briefly discuss the very first iron production in the Americas, in America, colonial America, which was the Falling Creek Iron Works. Then we're going to be discussing Saugus Ironworks, and this is actually, in my opinion, an amazing broad topic concerning American Revolution, American, the lead up to from colonial to American Revolution to the industrial age, and all that stuff. It's just an interesting tale when you look at it from a large time frame. In addition to that, I've got a little bit of a blurb of I found a nice passage that alliterates what I've been trying to discuss or articulate for the past couple of weeks, and this kind of hits it on the head, and I'll be going over that. That's found in an article discussing the differences between medieval ironworking technologies and colonial ironworking technologies. Which, as everybody knows, there's only two ways to make wrought iron, the direct way and the indirect way. I had to explain this to Sully, and no, I'm just kidding. I said there's only one way to make wrought iron, and Alexis was like, there's actually two ways to skin this cat, and then we discussed the benefits too.
Wait to just take my whole segment and just be like, run with it.
These are all preludes. I'm not going into any details until we get into them. I'm just trying a new technique for introducing the topic. Yeah. So with that, let's discuss Alexis, since I'm getting crazy mouth here talking too much with the um, brain fart that I'm trying to think of. Topic of creating wrought iron in colonial times.
What I wanted to start with is there was basically the process, and the process is kind of important in this aspect. So there are the two methods of making wrought iron: the direct process, which is the bloomery, you making a bloom and then hammering it out. We've all seen that, worked on it. Well, we haven't all done it, but most of us have tried at least. Um, so the direct process was the most common, and around about the 1300s, um, possibly due to the lack of labor from the ravages of the plague on Europe, water power began to replace human power in bloomeries and whatnot, or foundries or whatever you want to call it, and by using air power to both work the bellows and the hammer, uh, they were able to provide a continuous and greater volume of air into the furnace, and instead of just getting the bloomery steel hot, they would actually melt it down into cast iron. And so that's how the indirect method came about in the 1300s, was the advent of air, or air
Water
over
powered.
water power. I know, but I was going to say water over air. Yeah, that's
Yes.
like one thing is powering another thing that powers the thing. So like my truck is air over hydraulic, but yeah. So but it would be water over air. So water powered both the air and the hammer. I'm getting lost. Anyways, the indirect process is what was brought on a manufacturing scale, on a large scale. The indirect process is what was brought to the colonies, because it was the most efficient method, and had a much higher yield than the direct process. The direct process had a lot of loss due to dross and slag. A lot more of the iron stuck together, or melted into a pig in the indirect process. And then after the pig is created, then they would uh, heat it again, more air through there, and uh, decarburize the cast iron to make wrought iron with it. But that also allowed with the cast iron part, the pouring of things like pots and pans, and all the various stuff you make with cast iron. And so you could do it either way, and by managing the amount of carbon, like how much charcoal they put in there versus how much air, and all of the different, and the cooling time, the founder could control the quality of the cast iron pig that was going to come out. It could be white, it could be gray, it could be mottled, and all of these had to do with how much carbon stayed in the steel, or in the iron, and what's the crystalline structure of it, because of the length of time it took to cool down. And so they would specifically adjust those things on purpose to get different qualities of cast iron that would be used for different things. Some of it would be used for casting, like making cast iron pans and stuff, and then some of it would be deemed for decarburization to be made into wrought iron, which we all follow what that goes with. And so, yeah, the indirect process is what was brought to the colonies originally. Although the direct process still did pop up on occasion, and like a small shop or whatever, if didn't really want to buy his iron from England, because you couldn't just buy it from the steel making. Like, you couldn't buy your almost you couldn't buy your stuff from Sagas. You had to buy it. The Sagas would, or I'm just using Sagas as an example. Sagas would sell it back to England, and then England would produce, the bar and the steel and all that, and then send it back for the colonists to buy from them. It's a neat little method of screw me once, shame on me; screw me twice, shame, whatever. But
Right.
right. So, but the average little shop could, just throw up a little bloomery furnace real quick and make their own stuff. So the direct process was still used, but not on an industrial scale. Your turn.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm getting a weird reverb from me. Ah, it's gone. Um, so yeah, we'll we'll go into a little bit of detail, trying to pull up my cheat sheets again. Into that, we've got to kind of touch on the Sagas Ironworks process and procedure for creating the iron and then sending it to back to England. Um, I'll read this little paragraph that I found or about it, and then we'll kind of discuss that briefly, and then I'll go into the actual ironworks. Um, Let me see. The predominant theory in England at the time was mercantilism. One manifestation of the policies arising from mercantilism was the belief that the mother country was more important than the colonies. The mother country strove to sell abroad but not buy there. In this way, they could accumulate capital, i.e., gold, through exports than through imports. Colonies were expected to supply their mother country with raw materials, particularly timber and pig iron. The London Daily Post distressed over the fact that England was annually consuming more iron or more bar iron than the 18,000 tons she produced. Predicted that the future lay in production in the colonies. In our American colonies are now erected several forges and bloomeries for making bar iron. By 1751, Maryland and Virginia alone furnished England with 2,950 tons of iron, 1/6 of the mother country's own production. Finished goods such as pots, pans, hinges, and tools were not to be made in the colonies, however, but bought and shipped from England. Beginning in 1660 and lasting until the Revolutionary War, a list of enumerated articles was published by the British government under the heading of the Navigation Acts. These articles included cast pig iron, wrought bar iron, among others, were to be produced in the colonies but shipped only to British ports. Later, the Iron Act of 1750 reiterated those sentiments and prohibited all export of iron from the colonies to other countries. It did, however, remit duties on exports to England, increasing the tonnage of iron exported from 3,000 tons in 1750 to 8,000 tons in 1770. Understandably, complying with these laws would have eventually led to the undermining of all colonial manufacturing efforts, which became a contributing factor to the ensuing revolution. Harold Livesey summed it up in his statement: the English passed laws to protect their market. The colonists developed ironworks to ensure their future. Okay, so basically what that's saying is it seemed that the mother country, England at the time, understood that the key to the key to self-sufficiency being iron, the ability to create your own goods and wares, so that you didn't have to rely on the mother country, would lead to an independence situation where, which could then lead to, and did, the Revolutionary War. So they tried to enact laws to prevent any sort of progression from the colonies. And of course, as we know through other discussions of history and such, trying to enforce those laws over the vastness of the ocean, when it was weeks and months to get from England to the colonies, it proved fruitless, as history shows. Now on to the ironworks themselves, the actual attempts from and this isn't where it was attempts to create things that didn't need to be purchased from England. It was to take the ore that was found, turn it into something usable, send it to England, as Alexis had said, and then the crafters there would turn it into items to then send it to us. The first attempt was the ironworks at Falling Creek, not Fallen. The first ironworks near the confluence of Falling Creek with the James River. The colonists identified the site with a combination of ore deposits, water power, and access to navigable waters for shipping, which was needed for their desired iron production facility. The outpost was one of the most remote from Jamestown, and beginning in 1619, Falling Creek's Iron Works was established. It was the first iron production facility in North America. Not a lot of records survived, but what has survived indicate that the ironworks was able to produce some small quantity of iron. However, the exact records cannot be determined whether the ironworks had begun its full production before operations were interrupted by the Indian massacre or massacre of 1622. And with that, what that was the Powhatan Confederacy of Native Americans in March of 1622. They conducted a series of surprise attacks on all English settlements along the James River, almost all of the, James River settlements, resulting in, the death of a third of the colonists in the area. So that kind of like it was an attempt by England and the colonies to start, production, and it was like, nope. It wasn't till about 15 to 20 years later, my math is fuzzy on that they attempted it again with the now famous, and if you're into history of ironwork, then you've heard of it. It's the Saugus Ironworks. And that was a site that up in just south of Boston, I think, if I recall. And in a nutshell, that area was colonized primarily by Puritans that were trying to escape either religious persecution or they had viewed the society that they were leaving in England to be morally corrupt, and wanted to get back to like their Puritan roots. And so what they did, they moved over, and they didn't have, they tried to start an ironworks, but the first location that they tried didn't have any ore. It wasn't by any running water. They didn't really have the smarts or the skill and the engineering to create an effective foundry, mill, and production facility. So they brought in the companies that the investing companies that were behind it brought in Richard Leader to basically pick a site and design a plant, design the facility, and get it up and running. And what happened there was he tried to do it with the colonists, but it was just unskilled labor. It was, it requires a bit of knowledge and know-how to use some of the machines to control the water wheels, to work the forge, the bloomery, and the foundries and all that stuff. So he pulled in, with the help from the companies, skilled labor. However, it wasn't, the skilled labor they brought in wasn't, according to the Puritans, proper moral stock. And Saugus Ironworks, for several reasons, it ran for about 20 years. It produced tons, literal tons and tons, thousands of tons of wrought iron and cast iron to be shipped back over to England. And due to the high cost of running it, because of skilled labor and because of the amount of materials it needed to produce the wrought iron, it kind of started, falling by the wayside to the investors. They're not throwing any more money at it because it's just not producing the proper rate of, return. Rate of investment, ROI. Anyway, so yeah, between that and the constant let's just say bickering between the Puritan locals and the small town that grew up around Saugus, of non-Puritan skilled labor. It very easily fell to misuse. And you know I believe after Reading or letting leader left, there was accusations of corruption. There was accusations that oh, they're not producing this as high quality as they should be. Like just everything kind of just went downhill. And side note to that, so it was shut down. Side note to that, when was it shut down? I want to say in the 1650s. It was about 20 years, so 1650s, 1660s was when it was shut down. All the skilled labor, all the workers of Saugus kind of spread out through the communities, and some iron workers that were kind of like the big starters of the companies in the industrial revolution, or industrial revolution, the industrial age, building skyscrapers and stuff. Some of them large companies that provided iron beams and rivets and all that stuff can trace their lineage back to the original laborers brought in to work and run the Saugus iron works. I feel like I'm rambling, but yeah, I can't see the chat. So somebody say something. I feel like I'm being too smart here. Oh, y'all ain't even listening to me. But yeah. Did I lose you there, Alex? I think Alex froze.
Yeah, there's some digitizing going on here.
Okay.
I was just yeah, you were just digitizing there out for about 20 seconds, so I just kind of waited.
All right. I hope
I
that
mean,
doesn't.
that's no, I don't know. I don't know if that was your end or my end, but probably mine.
Okay.
All right. It's likely a Discord thing, not like
Okie dokie.
your internet or my internet. It's just yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I hope that didn't translate over poorly on YouTube, but we'll find out. But yeah, so that bit about Saugus was just out of my memory from what I've been reading on it for the past week or two. I figured that would be a better presentation of it rather than rote reading from articles and such. But John Brunel specifically, if you have any interest whatsoever in metal, you really should read up on the history of Saugus, because it'll teach you some stuff.
Yeah, I mean they fired up the first blast furnace in like 1646 there.
Yeah.
And it burned 24 hours a day continuously.
For
And I
20
mean
years, 21 years.
yeah, continuously. I mean like 24 hours a day, and if you think about it, do you know how much charcoal production that required? I mean like cuz it ran on charcoal. And so like there's an entire industry devoted to creating charcoal for this one blast furnace. I mean that alone just boggles my mind.
Right. The amount of actually, on that very topic, I was reading some interesting stuff about, and it wasn't a situation that was unique to America. It's actually more prevalent towards the end of the medieval periods, going into Renaissance and just early, like not early, but like right at the pre-colonial line for England. The demand for lumber, the demand for wood was so high that England was more or less deforested for a long period of time. And the demand to build ships, to build, this and that and everything needed to push forward for, human expansion. Um, residents and such, like, the population there in England at that time, they'd been known to taking to tearing down bridges and tearing down unused structures just to use to heat their houses and cook their foods, because lumber was that scarce. They were cutting down saplings. They were basically like burning anything they could get their hands on to keep warm. So a little side note for that, the effects of using charcoal as your primary fuel source, you know which I'd like to
Yeah.
think we've kind of got under control now.
You would think.
Well, our not to go off onto a tangent about you know conservation and all that stuff, but it's like our logging industry nowadays has preservation in its mind as well. Like they'll plant forests at the same, they didn't do that back then, or rarely did it back then. It was like,
Right.
tree, cut it
And like,
down.
well, and like in the on the eastern seaboard, the old growth stuff, even then, they were replacing them or planting new trees and whatnot, and like they're currently logging like third generation trees, like they've harvested, and now they're harvesting again. So
Yeah,
so yeah, they're on the third harvest of the trees up there in some areas. So we here, I mean, we've been doing that for quite some time. You know, I
right.
don't, I can't speak to how that went in Europe, but I mean, because it was largely deforested prior to anybody giving a dang.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like back in the late medieval, early, Renaissance, and through that time period, it was like anything and everything wood could be burned for fuel. you know, and it was like, instead of waiting for the trees to, or thinking ahead back then, they, you know, that bridge, we'll build one out of stone. Give me that wood.
So yeah,
um,
oh, I don't know.
I
Yeah.
was I just stopped to read the comments, and John Burnell asking, how long do you think it was before they went from tree coal to being mined in huge operation like sawgrass? He is messing with me. It's saugus. Um, and I don't know the exact numbers, but he didn't ask that. He asked what I think. I think it happened in about 3 months, but I
What's
am
that?
very often wrong. The switch from charcoal to coal, mined coal. And since I don't know, I'm just going to say an arbitrary number of 3 months. And since you heard it on the internet, it must be true.
To where the use of fuel at Saugus?
Yeah, from charcoal to coal.
Uh,
Saugus was actually built near decent supply of bog iron ore.
yeah, I
So
mean, like the articles I'm reading from the National Park Service say they use charcoal for the entirety of its existence, but that could be
right,
incorrect. I don't. Yeah, because there was a big thing about the massive scale of the charcoal industry based around the Saugus thing for
yeah,
the 20 years it was in operation.
yeah. That's the thing. Easier back then. Use what's around you rather than going through. I mean, Saugus was already a money pit to its investors. Now imagine, them going to their the investors and going, hey, in addition to the cost of producing iron, we'd also like to almost double that cost and create a coal mine. And the investors going, no, just use the trees. We do it. Just use the trees. That's what we do. So you can't imagine that it happened very quickly, especially with the hindrances in communications back then. You know.
So I wanted to go over a little bit of about refining cast iron into wrought iron, and
Please do.
I'm gonna read this so I do it justice and not skip something important. So workers, this is at the Saugus Iron Works. Workers in the forge converted brittle cast iron pigs and sows into malleable wrought iron by carefully removing excess carbon in two separate processes: fining and hammering. Details regarding original design of finery hearths have yet to be discovered. Typically, they were specifically constructed with stone and lined with cast iron plates. It is possible that gray cast irons and white cast irons were both processed by positioning the iron plates and aiming the air draft from water-powered bellows. A charcoal fire built that was large enough to cover the end of a sow. To refine cast iron into wrought iron, heavy pigs and sows were dragged from the furnace to the forge by oxen. They were positioned in the finery hearth through an aperture in the side of the chimney, and rollers guided the sows into the fire where they were slowly melted. Long iron bars or ringers were used to manipulate the melted iron, and the iron was melted and lifted up into the air blast over and over again until the carbon was sufficiently reduced. As the carbon content went down, the melting temperature went up. Perhaps this was an indicator to the finer when the iron had reached the desired carbon content. The process produced more slag, and it's possible that some slag may have been deliberately added to assist in the carbon reduction process. The iron was removed from the finery hearth as a loop. Excess charcoal was removed from the outside surface of the loop, and then the hammering began. The initial hammering was done with long-handled sledgehammers, and then it was dragged to the 500-pound held hammer for heavier blows. The hammerman completed the wrought iron bars by forging them between the hammer and the anvil, and the loop was hammered into a block or bloom. From there, the bloom was hammered systematically from its middle out towards one end, and the bar would be reheated numerous times in the chaffee hearth to maintain a welding heat. The bar would be turned end for end in the tongs, and the hammerman would draw out the other end of the bar again from the middle outwards. So, and basically that's the method that we're all familiar with on making the, working out the wrought iron. Uh, you know, do the bloom, get it hot, work it from the middle outwards, etc., etc. But it was the bit about how that started as cast iron that I wanted to make a point of, because that's in the indirect process. All of the bog iron and etc. became cast iron first, and then it was it would be decarburized. When the stuff they weren't going to use as cast iron would be decarburized down to wrought iron, and then if they needed steel, it would be recarburized, on occasion for that. So, or how with shear steel or what have you.
Right, 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 right. But yeah,
Shear steel.
so blister steel, yes. Um, but yeah, so
And
it's like,
you did that by layering cast iron, wrought iron, cast iron, wrought iron. You
yeah,
know, da-da-da. Continue.
I forgot what I was going to say. Rather, I was just going to ramble and forgot what I was going to ramble about.
Right? Must have been a lie.
Right? Yeah. So, since Adam isn't here to correct me or to roll his eyes at me, I'm just going to say it is. I did uncover an article that proved without a doubt that the original wrought iron was brought to Earth through alien influence. And that's all I have to say about that. No, I'm just
All I
kidding.
have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that. No, that was just gonna. You can cut that out. I was just messing with Adam there. Um, just by luck, it might be that he just tuned in to hear me say that.
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah. But let me see. Mr. Pekka says the process is called freshing.
Which process?
Yeah. She said a lot there. So which process, Mr. Pekka? Let me see. Exactly, John. While we wait for Mr. Pekka to type out his reply. Um,
Uh,
he was not just happy to see you. It was an iron bar in his pocket. Oh, the process of reducing carbon was called freshing. Okay, cool. Um,
they call it in here they called it fining, but I
fining,
mean, you know,
freshing,
6 of one, half
re
a dozen of the other. I
ref
believe they both follow the same process.
refining, refreshing, you know. Yeah, I get you. So yeah, very interesting, read, and a lot of rabbit holes to go down, in the earliest productions of iron in America in colonial times. And
Here,
if hmm?
oh, I was gonna say here's an interesting little sentence. Archaeological finds provide evidence that the slitting mills made 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch iron rod for the purpose of making nails. Archaeologists, you know what I mean? Like we're talking about iron, or like wrought iron nail production, and archaeologists, like that's how far back this stuff goes.
Yeah,
Slitting
I mean,
slitting mills that are discovered by archaeologists. So,
yeah, I mean, it's like I know John Burnell is extremely old, and to him it's not, archaeology, it's just, like his childhood, but it's to the rest of us it's archaeology, you know. For
and
those listening in the podcasts, I've got to explain. I keep bringing up the name John Burnell. Um, John Burnell is one of our regular viewers and one of our most steadfast supporters. And he is frequently, if you'd like to come in and meet him, he frequents the live chat during the recordings of these every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And you too can join us and harass John Burnell. He just always has something fun to say. And if it's not directly about blacksmithing, he's like, well, I'm out of here. So we like to mess with him too. We love
or
John.
or
Or,
conversely, you could join John Burnell and pile on the rest of us.
oh no, don't do that. We don't like pylons. You said ore, and I was like, iron ore? uh,
And, James, and you're right. There were a lot of ancient artifacts with meteoric iron in them, and they used it when they could in ancient times. Right up until the invention of modern uh, Iron Age stuff. That I couldn't figure out how to say what I was trying to say. I hate when that happens. Use your words.
sorry, I'm
Easy
typing.
now. Easy there, Stephen Parsons.
uh,
We're bordering on inappropriate now.
well, we are reaching that point in the show where we've discussed our topic, we've shared our thoughts on it a little bit, and now we just kind of riff with the chat because what would it be without the community? You know, oh, the humanity
Oh
with
my
the
God,
farting
could you
manatee.
imagine if we had to come up with this and had no interaction and it was just me and you? Well,
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness.
because it would just go in so many different directions. Because I mean, like when because we're doing this for usually 3 or 4 hours a Sunday, and an hour to an hour and a half of it is this show, and then
Isotopes.
the rest of the
Isotopes
time
everywhere.
random, and yeah, the rest of our conversation is a bunch of random isotopes.
Yeah. Isotopes as far as the eye can't see.
Yamez will be talking about, man, I got to go over to Nag's Head, and I gotta work on this, and I'm like, and my leg really freaking itches. I don't know what happened.
Oh. Let me see. So yeah, we digress. severely. But yeah, so I kind of feel that we're at a natural end to that. I mean, what I like to do is just kind of discuss the topic a little bit, but not to lead. Like, if you find anything that we just what we talk about interesting, it's like it's that jumping platform, or the diving board into your own rabbit holes that I like. We inspire people. I like to think that I inspire people to do their own research and stuff, and you know, uh, and the best is when, if we find something that may not be exactly accurate, they come back and discuss it with us during the show. Like, I love it. It's a community effort, and we just try to provide the underlying topic for you guys to go in and research. You know, follow the yellow cake road.
So a lot of like the stuff that I was talking about today is all a bunch of articles on iron making from the National Park Service. In regards to the Saugus Ironworks National Historic Site. So that was my reference for today's bit. I went through quite a few different sources today before I settled on that one. Just because it was very inclusive and broad had a broad spectrum of information. That And so if you would like a clearer and more detailed description, that's what it is. It's the iron making Saugus Ironworks National Historic Site. So
Yeah, and there's actually
uh,
a few videos about the recreation, because it did fall into disrepair, and it did kind of get broken down, and then they recreated it. They found the site and recreated it, and you can actually visit. It was back in the 40s that the archaeologists were digging around there, and back in the 1950s, that they built a recreation of it, and it's like along the lines of Colonial Williamsburg. It's like an active what would you call, a Renaissance fair kind of situation, like people, it's like a museum, a living museum kind of thing.
yeah, it's all year long LARPing.
Yeah. So if you're truly interested in blacksmithing and ironworking and everything, you should go visit the Saugus Ironworks. If you're not, John, I understand, like you like to say that you are, but if you don't visit the Saugus Ironworks, like, I guess, you could say that you're building a giant candle holder, but I digress. I'm messing with John again. I'll pick on John as long as he picks on me. But with that, I'd like to move on to our final thoughts of the topic, which I believe kind of our. Why do we always cover our final thoughts before I say let's go into our final thoughts? You know, um, but yeah. So, what are their final thoughts there on the topics today? Saugus. I keep wanting to say Sawgrass because of John.
I
Saugus,
know, right?
Fallen Creek. Yeah.
We just got changed into Sawgrass.
Yeah, and the creation of wrought
Kind
iron.
of like the way, yeah, it's kind of like the way that a couple years ago or whatever that Speargrass Forge kind of morphed into Asparagus Forge for a hot minute there.
Yeah.
So yeah, my final thoughts. Wrought iron is a fascinating metal to play with. I'm sure most of us have worked with it before. I don't particularly like it because it's so fuel intensive. Although when I do mess with it, I mean, I like the results are pretty nice. I do like the look. Except when I accidentally work it too cold and then crack it, rip it, tear it. That really kind of puts a bummer on the day. So if you're gonna work some wrought iron, make sure you got it hot enough. And when you think you got it hot enough, it's not. Heat it up a little more. Don't do like I do and then wait till you get all the way to the end and find all these cracks where you worked it a little too cold or you worked it a little too long. Because that's really disheartening when you get that far into it and you're like, ah, I can't fix that now. Damn it.
Right.
But yeah, so and also wrought iron is interesting to me in its progression through history. You know, what I mean, like how it's wrought iron starts out as a bloomery thing, and then it evolves from cast iron, and so I mean like its place in history and its place in the working of iron, in the tree, you know what I mean, or whatever of the way we get our end products is quite fascinating. So, um, I kind of wish there was a place that just still made it today. Where you could get brand new wrought iron, which I mean you can, but yeah, you got to buy it in very large quantity you can't just go down and buy a brand new bar of wrought. Which I wish you could. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But then,
Right.
then how many people are that would appreciate that for what it is and pay and I mean
Pay the
granted,
premium for it.
pay a premium for it, right? Because it's by far way more expensive to create than any other form of iron or steel today. So I mean, it would be cool if you could do that, but you know, I, I don't think there's a large enough customer base to warrant that's
Well, it's also
that specialty product made on an industrial scale. Not just like, oh, I made a 1 inch square bar 5 feet long from a bloom. It took me a month and a half or something like that.
right. It's also in the marketing of the. I don't know if this echoes translating to YouTube or not. It's also in the marketing of it. Like nowadays, it's like you hear wrought iron fence, and a customer will go, "Oh, I would like a wrought iron, this, that, or the other thing," and it's like, now, do you want wrought iron, or do you just want like the look of like the classic wrought iron fence? Well, the look. They mean the look. The same with Damascus. Like pattern welded steel is not technically Damascus, just like a wrought iron fence may not be actually wrought iron, and it's the same kind of conversation. So it's irritating with that. But do you want real wrought iron because it's going to be a lot more expensive? No, the cheap stuff. Okay, so um, my final thoughts on it. It's like I tend more to the history of Saugus and where it kind of became the origin of ironworking in America. Like even though it only lasted 20 years, the legacy of it and the legacy of those who worked at it went on for hundreds of years in America, and with the parts that it played in like I was saying at the pre-show, it's it was one of a large contributing factor to the Revolutionary War was the way they England took the base material and turned it into products that they then sold back to the people who made it, and it was just kind of one of those like, well, screw you, I can make it here, kind of situations. And so like that alone, it's a little slice of a different look at a well-known historical situation. But primarily, yeah, the big thing was my big takeaway was that how Saugus was kind of like the hub, the origin of what we consider now modern iron in America. Merkin. But yeah, so I'm not going to go into what merkins are. It's look up merkins in Japanese, Japanese merkins. You have fun in that rabbit hole.
Merkin.
Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna play Adam's outro because we can't have a Impractical Blacksmiths episode without having an Australian accent. At least come down from memory. So let me see. Yeah, it does this thing, and then I transition over. Silence.
Just say thank you very much for listening, guys. You can find Yames on at Island Metal Forge on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find Alex at Transcendental Artist Studios on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find me, Adam, at Speargrass Forge on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. If you have any suggestions for Tool of the Week, Metal of the Week, or any other topic, you can leave them under the hashtag Metal of the Week in the YouTube community chat in Discord, or you can email us at impracticalblacksmiths@gmail.com. If you found us on Anchor, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, or Google Podcasts, we upload generally every Wednesday, or you can join us live every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's currently 12:30 a.m. Australian Central Standard Time on Monday morning. However, you should check that against your local time, and that's located at the Island Metal Forge YouTube channel. Finally, thanks for joining us, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, or give us a star rating if you found us on one of the podcasts, and we appreciate your support. Now,
Thank you, Adam. Much appreciated. With that, I'd like to just thank everybody, all of you all who come in and support the show by being viewers and all the super chatters and all the members and all my moderators, and of course a big huge thank you and round of applause to my co-hosts Adam and Alexis. And I appreciate you big time. I hope you all stay tuned. In about an hour or so, Jack Pines goes live on his channel. And yeah, so jump into the fire with Jack Pines. And later tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, I should be going live to do some work in the forge, hopefully. Yes, weather seems to be holding out, but we'll see. What do you got for us there? You want to say goodbye?
Oh, yeah. No, I was kind of curious why everybody was arguing the same point in the chat. Like, everybody's like, no, there are iron meteorites and rocky meteorites. And somebody else is like, no, there aren't just iron meteorites. No, there are rocky ones. And it's like, wait, you're all arguing the same side of a point. I mean, at least that's what I saw. Maybe there was a comment that I missed, but maybe I find it hard to believe somebody wouldn't know that, there are stony meteorites and iron ones. But anyways, y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you at Jack Pine's stream in an hour, and then later on at Yamez's at 6. So there's Adam checking in right at the end. Hey, Adam. Yeah, well, we need to get together, discuss that. We gotta discuss timing for next week's show.
Just tell him alien. He asked what he missed. Alien. We decided, and unequivocally, all evidence points to aliens brought us wrought iron. So with that, we're gonna get out of here. Adam, if you'd like to hop in the voice chat for your break and say what's up, we'll see you there. But with that, I am going to click end stream. Bye, everybody.